welcome to the first ever episode of Miles Offside, the podcast where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nothing. I am Oscar Puente, and with me on the other line, I have my co-host, Chuck Bailey. Say hi, Chuck.
Hi, Chuck. Sorry, Oscar. Hello, mate. You all right?
And producer Ian Simpson.
Howdy. That's going to be how we open it every time, is it? Yeah?
I figure we can do it now.
I mean, yeah, it can get more professional, less professional. In that regard, Ian, as producer, I needed to ask you, are we putting an explicit handle on this podcast?
I think we ought to. Yeah, I think we ought to.
Because then I don't have to censor myself. Brilliant.
Feeling happy now. Good.
Awesome. Well, I figured today we could give into our World Cup fever and talk a little bit about the different groups as the big games approach. How's that sound?
Oh, so much World Cup fever.
I mean, have you got it, Oscar? I mean,
yeah, I went to the doctor and he wasn't sure if it was that or something else. I'd rather not say on the air, really, but I'm hoping it's World Cup fever and not, anything much worse than that.
I suppose if the accents don't give it away, most people can tell that you're from the US of A. So you don't have a whole lot to get excited about. And of course, I see me and Ian being from England don't have a whole lot to be excited about.
Who does? Who does?
You'll have plenty to be disappointed about, though.
Well,
God,
can you be disappointed when you expect nothing?
That's been the better thing about the last few tournaments, though. I've expected nothing, actually enjoyed them.
Yeah, that's true. You get to watch a bit more as a neutral.
Just watch the football,
Well,
yeah, I can't remember. Sorry, go on, Oscar.
No, I was going to say I do have a rooting interest in this one because I've been a Germany fan my whole life, actually.
Oh, of course, naturally.
Yeah, it's very strange. But when I was 2, my grandfather bought me a Germany jersey for it was like a onesie. But for the 1990 World Cup, and just ever since then,
just grown out of it.
Yeah. No, I still wear it, but only on special occasions.
Only on special occasions.
Yeah. So I'm going to be watching the Germany squad very closely.
Yeah, well, at least you'll get some excitement. What was the reason? Why did your grandfather buy you a Germany jersey?
No idea.
So
Not the slightest clue. He just decided I must look German. I'm the palest one in my family, so that might have something to do with it. But ever since I could remember, I've been a Germany fan. Okay,
fair enough.
You saw a bit of the Germanic in Oscar Puente.
Yeah, it's the nose, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the name definitely gives that one away. It's a very German kind of.
Well, there actually are a lot of Germans in Guatemala, but we don't really like to talk about why they got there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, let's just leave that there and go on. I do apologize for being American. I've gone to see if there's a procedure I could do to get it fixed, but they got nothing for me.
Good to hear.
But I think I'm one of the good kind. We'll see. I mean, if insofar as such a thing might exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I think isn't the process just called renaturalization?
Is it?
Isn't that it?
I don't know.
Just
when the American Revolution eventually ends. Yeah.
One day.
The colonial rebellion, I think. Do you guys call it the American Revolution over there, or is there a different name for it?
Just rebellion, I think.
We don't like to focus on the losses, really. It's never actually talked about. Like, I don't remember ever hearing anything about it in school.
In history class or anything?
That's not like English history to sort of gloss over our worst periods, is it?
No, not so much. Not so much with the Empire, no. Very quick to judge others, but maybe just look at ourselves once in a while. Yeah.
Pretty sure 5 minutes before we started we said no politics, but anyway.
I tried to stay away from that.
That was one of the things, but at least we stuck to the remit of talking about football and not much we can always
cut that out.
Is it going well? I'm happy with this.
So, Group A?
Group A.
In Group A...
Take control, Oscar.
I got it. In Group A, we have Russia, the hosts, of course, and Uruguay, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. So I guess my first question to you guys is, who do you think will be making it out of that group?
You can't really see past Uruguay not finishing first. Being the kind of, how should we put this delicately, the canny operators that they are, meaning cheating fucking bastards.
Do you know what, Chuck? I was about to say that was uncharacteristically restrained from you.
Well, I'm still finding my foot in here. This is like the first time we've recorded a podcast and the first time I've used Skype. Like I'm fully in the unknown right here.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Woohoo! But yeah, Uruguay to top that group, surely, especially with Suarez alone can carry that, and the rest of the group is kind of a bit of a mishmash. I don't know, Ian, like what you think of that, but
I don't really know a great deal about the rest of the teams in this group. I mean, how much is Egypt just Mo Salah?
100%.
You've got, I think the only other players you've got in there you probably know is, I think El Neni plays for Egypt, in holding midfield, and players, I think it was Ramadan Sobi. He played for Stoke this season. I think Stoke bought him, but he never featured, and then they get relegated, obviously, so...
when you can't even break into the Stoke squad, that's not not a
good form there.
No, not really. But then it's whether Salah plays as well.
Yeah, with his big injury. I think they're saying he should be back. He might miss the first game because he didn't dislocate his shoulder. It's just a ligament strain.
Okay, who knows? He didn't, because they were still waiting on the scans, and then there was that whole thing where like the manager of the Egypt team the day after was saying, no, he'll play in the World Cup, and the Liverpool doctors hadn't even properly assessed him yet or whatever. It's like
he's probably in some dodgy clinical facility somewhere getting deer blood pumped into him or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Like it's obviously that was more of a threat than a promise that Salah would play. It's more of a threat, like no, you will play.
Yeah,
but I can't see anyone other than Uruguay really dominating this group. They're going to really take it by the teeth and hold on.
Oh, clever!
See what I did?
That. You always wonder with host nations how it can affect it, especially with obviously I don't know exactly what the weather's like in Russia now or how far reaching the stadiums are. I assume like most of them are in the west.
You have to assume that. I think there's one that's further east, but there's not that many matches getting played there.
I don't think... Is it Russia? I don't know if you saw this, where there's the ground where, to extend the number of seats in there, what they did was take out one of the back walls and just extend the rows of seats outside the stadium.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I didn't hear about that.
You know, so you've got kind of behind both goals, you can be sat so far back that I think the roof of the stadium blocks your view of the other goal. It's fucking amazing.
That's awesome. Well, they're pretty good at taking down walls there, so I guess they are employing that tactic to get more people in the stadiums.
No politics broken number 2. But yeah, I don't think. I think we're kind of all in agreement that Saudi will be kind of the whipping boys there.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you name a single player from that without having done research? Could you name a single player?
No. Could I find it on a map? Maybe.
It's in the middle somewhere.
That's not to be offensive to Saudi Arabia. That's just to say that my geography knowledge is shit, by the way.
Yeah, all our many listeners in Saudi Arabia?
Well, you never know, mate.
On episode 1, yeah.
Yeah. Although having said that, like recently they've not done badly. I mean, they played Italy the other day, and they lost 2-1. And then before that, they beat Greece. Then before that, beat Algeria.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I mean, Italy obviously isn't what they used to be. They didn't even make this World Cup, but holding in against them, if that was at the actual World Cup, they'd be celebrating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then Egypt, obviously, every game Mo Salah scores. So if he's not there, you wonder about him. And the last game that Russia won was against Dynamo Moscow. And probably most of the good players for Dynamo Moscow, I'd assume, were playing for the Russia team. So
right, exactly. It's got to be Uruguay and Russia out of this one, right? There's a small chance that Egypt sneaks past Russia, but the host nations always do so well.
Yeah, I think so. I think unless Salah's injury really is like nothing, and he's going to be able to hit those games full pelt. Yeah. I don't know. I think where he's probably been part of the Egypt team's plans for so long that without him, it's whether that team knows actually what they're going to do or what their game plan is.
Even then, if he's healthy, it doesn't have Mane and Firmino pulling defenders away to make space for him. I don't see him really doing much. Even as good as he is, like it's hard to carry a 1 versus 11.
Yeah, true. Unless they do that thing where they literally they just leave Salah up there and hoof balls and hope he just beats people behind.
I think they call that the Andy Carroll tactic.
Yeah, I think so. The Sam Allardyce. Oh no, who is it? Pulis ball. Tony Pulis ball. That is right there. Yeah. Bastard.
Stimmers, anything to add on Group A?
No. Okay. You can expect more of that.
I've got to say, like, when we were looking at the rundown for this and we said, like, oh, what we're going to do is, in fact, we haven't really said, like, we're going to be looking at, like, the first 4 groups, so Group A to D. And I was looking at all of them, and obviously we were saying that we'll break down and go through them. And I thought, well, that group is cut and dry. That group is cut and dry. That group's pretty much cut and dry.
D is the only one that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised, actually. Like, I never realised until this tournament how many teams from Europe there actually are in the World Cup.
It's way too many. As much as, like, the couple of the ones miss out, you always have teams from, like, South America and Central and North America who are just good teams who don't get enough spots.
You're still feeling sad. That's why you dropped in a North America one there, wasn't it?
Yep. Just really salty. But
yeah, no, you're right. I think so. And
I mean, you have Chile missing out.
You know, you're pushing for a 48-team World Cup. Like, we get that.
Yeah, although this is going to be a bad World Cup, I think. Like, it's just not a lot of good teams right now.
Really?
Even the good teams aren't actually good. Actually, that's a good segue to Group B. In Group B, we have Portugal, Spain, Iran, and Morocco. And, you know, you have Portugal, the reigning European champions there, but they're not a good team.
The most boring team in European football.
Yeah. I mean, they in the Euros, they didn't win in regulation until the final, I think, or something like that.
I'm pretty sure the final was the first game they won in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So they drew, or maybe the semi-final. I think they drew 5 games in that competition. Yep. They definitely drew all of the group games.
Yep. They were the first team to ever make it through in 3rd place, I remember reading. Like, they got 3rd place in their group, and then they still made the knockout stages because of some expanded nonsense.
Yeah, something like because they scored... they had more goals than the team that was above them on the same points or some crap.
There's some ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And even then, most of that squad is gone now. Of the people who did well in the Euros, it's all like 12-year-olds and Ronaldo.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's a very, very young squad. When you look at their average age, they're super young.
Is there anyone exciting at all?
Well, Pepe's always good for a red card. So.
Yeah, they're still throwing Pepe out there, which is fantastic. And there's this young kid, what's his name? Cristiano Ronaldo? Is that it?
I believe it's pronounced Ronaldo.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
he's not too bad.
I don't know if many people have heard of him.
But he does have the same haircut he had when he was about 19. Like, I don't know if you guys saw him in the Champions League final. His hair's getting more ridiculous as he pushes for the exit door.
Wasn't there a thing like he got a haircut? People were saying because they took photos of him at like 90 minutes. Maybe it was just a Twitter bullshit that I fell for. But there's pictures of him with the trophy at like 90 minutes and pictures later, and it looks like he had a haircut.
No way.
I didn't see
I'm just
that.
Wondering if he shot off.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's why I kind of didn't bother to look into it, because it's just like you can take that thing at face value of like, yep, that's Cristiano right there.
Yeah, I mean they have the 3 Silvas. Andre Silva, who's the striker, obviously Bernardo, who's playing at Man City and probably learned a lot, even though he didn't get that many minutes this year.
He did at the end.
Yeah, after they kind of had everything sewn up. I drafted him in our fantasy league. And
you did, didn't you?
He did nothing for 6 months. Absolutely nothing. Him and Arnautovic. I drafted Arnautovic and he didn't. Week I dropped him, he started scoring goals. It was really frustrating.
Yeah, that was just a bit of a mess.
But
that was good fun though.
That was a good league. I think some really handsome guy won the league. So
was it you?
It sure was. You were with me.
I stopped playing that much. So.
Yeah, let's all go with that excuse, right? I was the only one that kept playing.
Well, I told you that you're the one who introduced all of us to it.
Yeah.
And so therefore, that we can all sit back now and just go like, oh yeah, of course he won.
That is, it's because I'm American. We know more about soccer than you guys do.
Yeah, it's because we're English. We'll be bitter about it.
We're all really hitting our major nationality MOs here, aren't we?
I know, right?
Yep.
But yeah, Portugal, it's weird that you think of that and obviously Cristiano Ronaldo and being so exciting, but they're just such a solidly defensive team.
Yeah,
like, it's strange, and they've still got the same coach as Euros. Like, unlike most countries or clubs even, where people, even though they win trophies, just get fired straight away afterwards. Like, it's still the same guy. So you wonder if they're still going to be as regimented. So I don't know if, like, personally looking at like fantasy football, for the World Cup, I wouldn't mind having a couple of, or at least one Portugal defender in there.
Yeah, they'll probably get a few clean sheets. I think they were, honestly, I can't remember another team playing with a don't lose mentality as opposed to a win games mentality and still getting a major trophy like that.
Yeah, that was crazy, because it was just out of, at the end of it, that's why, I don't know, the Euros, it was enjoyable up until the final, really, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was just cheering for Iceland, really.
Yeah.
Right? You guys were all on board.
Including me towards the end of that game, gee.
Yeah, I was. Even if just for whoever it was, the Steve McLaren on Sky Sports News.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, I don't know if you ever heard it, Oscar.
No, I didn't catch that.
Because obviously it was on the English coverage. So on Sky Sports News, obviously they have like the four people sitting around and they're all watching different games, and then they just cut to them every so often to start talking about the game that they're currently watching and what's going on. So it cuts to Steve McLaren. He starts talking about England, Iceland, and he's saying like, "Oh, the only lad they've got is this big lad up front, Sig Thorson." Blah 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 blah. And as he's talking, Iceland get a corner, cross the corner in, and Sig Thorson scores. Like, straight whilst he's talking about it, and he's just slagged him off 20 seconds early. And
the bottom falls out of his world, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just goes, "Oh no," and just sinks into his hands. And you just think, yes, you bastard. You boring bastard.
Was he the coach in 06 for you guys?
Was he before Roy Hodgson?
Yeah,
he was. Yeah, because it was, who is it? It was McLaren, then Hodgson, then Allardyce, then Southgate, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Jesus Christ, this
I'll
bodes
check
well
that,
we're
and we
talking
can roll
about
it
World
back
Cup.
if not, yeah.
just play it back again and cut that bit out. Yeah, fine, mate. But yeah, we can drone on about Portugal, and then I guess we'll talk about Spain, because I don't know fuck all about Morocco and Iran.
No, I mean, well, doesn't Morocco have that one defender, right? Benatia? He's on Juventus, but everybody's trying to link him to English clubs this summer.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember Chelsea were looking at him a couple of years ago, but then they, predictably didn't actually splash any money on anyone.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like Chelsea want to make a point of going, no, we don't spend lots of money. Like, that's not how we do. And then just keep firing and paying off managers.
Yep, that's where all the money goes. That and the stadium that they're trying to build. Although there's been a snag in that recently. They called off the construction because, I don't know, some financial nonsense. But
it's also Abramovich's visa is under question at the minute.
Really? Yeah, no, that really is it. Yeah, it's
how is his visa called into question?
It's
is he not actually Russian? Because then shouldn't he be?
I love this. No politics. So when the Russians killed those spies...
it is a politics thing. Although there's a bunch of like Russian millionaires who are not getting their investment, and they're like on an investor visa or something like that, and they're not getting it renewed right now because of something or other.
Because that's how the British will get you, admin.
Woe betide you if you tick the wrong fucking box.
Well, yeah. So anyway, you mentioned Spain. That's the other good team in that group. How do we feel about Spain right now?
Are they not a bit boring these days? Just functional.
It's weird that you cannot be enthused about that team. It's really like it. You look not too long ago. They won 3 major tournaments in a row. They've not really, to my knowledge at the moment, like they haven't radically changed that squad since. Obviously, they've had like more people come through, and I get that. The reason that squad did so well was because they were all together from quite a young age, and even there was no divide in there. The Barcelona Real Madrid thing. Rivalry didn't exist in terms of the national team, and that's why they could just absolutely smash it. But yeah, it's so weird that you can feel absolutely nothing towards a team like that.
Yeah, well, a lot of the really good guys from that era are either phased out or very old. Like they're still trotting out Iniesta, but he isn't getting the same minutes and doesn't have the same production that he used to. Even Barcelona's letting him go now to Japan.
Yeah.
And their center back pairing is Ramos and Piqué. That might actually be the best center back pairing in the whole tournament. But it's weird to think of Spain for their defense as much as anything else.
Yeah, again, well, you got De Gea with probably, you could easily have, I can't remember which side they play on, but you could have Alba or Azpilicueta or both with Ramos and Piqué in front of fucking David De Gea.
Yeah, their defense is stacked when they left Marcos Alonso at home.
Oh yeah, Jesus, they did.
Yeah,
didn't
really.
They?
Juan Mata didn't make it. Alvaro Morata.
All the ones that play for Chelsea, apart from Azpilicueta. Yeah.
All the ones that play in England, really, except for David Silva.
Yeah, you got. I mean, like up front, Costa's in there, Marco Asensio, David Silva's in there. So
yeah, David Silva made it.
Yeah, you look at the team, it's still like a really, really good team, but I think because they've gone through a lot of kind of regeneration for it.
Yeah, I think they don't know who they are anymore. That's the big problem with them, is they have no identity. Whereas when they were on that dominant run, they knew exactly how they were playing. They had that strategy down to a science, really.
Yeah, around that time, I was living with a guy who, he's one of these ones like his dad's Spanish or whatever. So it was very much, if Spain were doing well, he would not shut up about it. But if Spain weren't doing that well, he was suddenly English again and all that kind of stuff. But, so I heard about it. You just love those people.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even qualify as the top-seeded team for that group. Portugal's the ones that made it in as the top. Which is crazy. That's crazy to me. Portugal's ranked number 3 right now in the FIFA World Rankings. Spain's only at number 8.
Let's not get into FIFA rankings. That makes no fucking sense at all. If you've ever looked at the FIFA rankings, I remember a few years ago, I think it was at the last Euros, Romania was 7th in the world. I mean, for once, it kind of makes sense. First you got Germany, then Brazil. You can get that. Third, Belgium. Fourth, Portugal now. So you said they dropped down a bit because
they must have dropped down since the last.
Then you've got Argentina at 5th, and take a guess who is 6th after Germany, Brazil, Belgium, Portugal, Argentina.
I'm gonna throw Nigeria out there just because now I'm expecting it to be something crazy.
No, Switzerland.
That amazing footballing nation.
Switzerland.
Nigeria don't even make the top 20.
No, and then after that, it kind of makes sense again. You got France, Spain, Chile, who didn't make the World Cup, who are in 9th. Then you've got
Poland. They are a really good team.
Yeah. Yeah, no, a really good team. That's why it's a shame. What we were saying earlier about the European squads, getting so many, is that teams like Chile miss out.
Yeah, we're missing Sanchez and his hiked up shorts, and Arturo Vidal with his amazing double mohawk haircut.
Oh, has he got the double mohawk now?
Yeah, he has a mohawk inside of a mohawk. It's like an Inception hawk.
So is it 2 mohawks or 3 mohawks? It's too it's too much hawkception.
Hawkception.
Too much going on right there. But it's put
England are 13th behind Denmark.
Yeah, behind Denmark and Peru.
Well,
we'll get onto this in a sec. When we come back later, we'll get it into a sec with Group C, and you could easily argue that Group C is of a similar structure to Group A. That you've got one team who can go through and 3 that are a bunch of shit, but potentially it can do something quite good. Unlike maybe that's why we just kind of glossed over Morocco and Iran. Because Spain and Portugal.
Iran in the last World Cup only scored 1 goal.
They scored
and
1.
I will.
Oh, yeah, I remember that being a big thing.
That was huge.
Yeah, I defy you to pronounce the name of the guy who scored it. I don't know if either of you looked it up at all. I barely want to take a chance at this. It's Guchanejad.
Oh yes, yes.
Ghoooch.
Plays on left wing for AFC Tehran, I believe, or no.
How do you know that?
I thought that was a bit of quick Googling, mate.
Is that a real team even?
I don't know, but I'm going to Google it now. Yeah. I mean, this is the problem. Like, I used to have a bit of a gambling addiction. So knowing impossible Iranian second division teams, if you'd have asked me about 3 years ago, I would have known. I would have known the league structure. I would have known who was playing who. I probably would have known the refs.
Wow. That's a little scary, to be honest.
You couldn't have kept up that gambling addiction just for the pod, no?
Huh?
Oh, whatever.
Don't want to build it back up.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I'm hoping my missus doesn't listen to this, because I am going to be getting on the World Cup quite a lot.
Well, actually, we finally have legal gambling over here, so I'm going to start getting into that too. Yeah, they just passed that big ruling.
Yeah, because when I went to see you, that was when it was it had just been brought up or something. I didn't know if it had been approved or.
The Supreme Court said that it's legal now, so it's up to the states to decide where it is. But all the really liberal states are gonna easily. Politics number 5.
Yeah, amazing.
But I'm excited to be able to spend my money in stupid ways on crazy bets.
Mate, it makes every game of football so exciting. Like, bet on some inane shit.
You thought fantasy football was good, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I remember the best game of the last World Cup was. You know, the good thing about the World Cup is that you don't give a shit about what game is on. Like, I would have a day off and think, I've got nothing really to do, so I'm going to go to the pub at 12 o'clock or whatever. I'm going to watch all 3 games that day. And I watched Algeria, South Korea, and it was one of the best games of football I've ever fucking seen, because it was just mental end-to-end, goal after goal.
The last World Cup was great.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, that World Cup was one of the best ones, at least that I can remember seeing. There's so many goals.
And that was just in the semi-final. Hey-yo!
Hey! That was a great day.
Oh, it was amazing.
What a good day.
I used to work with 5 Brazilians.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, they weren't happy that day. Fuck me.
No, I'm sure. I love that video of the child crying.
Brilliant.
Yeah, just 7 whole reasons to hate everything that day. But then a nice little consolation goal at the end.
Yeah. Makes it all better. Yeah.
Manuel Neuer was furious.
Yeah. Oh,
you'd think he'd be happy. He's in such a terrible mood after the match. If you watch the press conferences and the interviews and stuff, he's in the worst mood. Yeah, because he gave that 1 goal up. Anything to say about Morocco, or are we kind of done with Group B here?
Yeah, I think let's face it, it's cut and shut. What order are you going for 1-2 though?
I gotta have Spain above Portugal. I really don't think Portugal's a good team. It's gotta be Spain. Yeah.
Portugal have some bullshit draw with Morocco. Spain will edge them 1-0. Ramos will make Cristiano Ronaldo cry, and he'll come back in the quarterfinal maybe. That's about it.
Well, especially with Ronaldo saying he wants to leave Real Madrid, there's no reason for Ramos not to just kick him up and down the field.
Yeah, if that's true, I mean, who knows what's going on? I mean, Zidane just getting fired from there. Like, you win 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues and get fired. Like,
absolutely, I'd take Zidane at Chelsea. Everybody's saying that Conte is going to leave, so wouldn't mind him and Bale coming over to London.
Yeah,
be all right.
If you're not spending money, then I don't think it's going to.
Well, with the stadium on hold, everybody's saying that Chelsea's going to just have a massive summer and just spend an insane amount of money on everything.
Why not?
That'd be real nice.
And unlike what everyone else said, I want that shit to happen. Like, fuck it. If the first promoted team in the Premiership is all of a sudden going to get 140 million, just for coming up from the Championship, let's just have everyone spend $1 billion a year.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have someone compete with the 2 Manchester clubs for spending too, because they're both just if you look at their lineups, it's insane.
Yeah, especially United in the last couple of years.
But Chelsea tend to spend a lot on World Cup summers. If you look at 2006, that's when they brought in Ballack and Shevchenko, and I think Ashley Cole came over that year. He might have come over the year before. And then in 2014 was Costa and Fabregas coming over.
Do you reckon it's, I get, okay, so yeah, they spend a lot, but then off the back of World Cups, players always end up costing more, because all of a sudden you always get those people that do well at a World Cup, and then all of a sudden they're absolute talk of the town, and they're just their price bracket just goes up so much. A player can put 30 mil onto their value simply by scoring a couple of goals at the World Cup and getting to the semi-final, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like when Real Madrid bought James, who pronounces his name.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So dumb.
Milan Baros in that Euros a while ago.
Milan Baros, yeah. Who is the guy who went to Man United as well? Just because he scored that one goal at a World Cup. Was it a World Cup or?
Oh yeah. That was way before I watched soccer, but I remember reading about that in Inverting the Pyramid. They talked about it. Oh, you can Google that.
It sounded like I knew something about football now.
Oh, the listeners know that you don't know anything. Name away. Yeah, don't worry.
I feel like an absolute prick. Maybe that's a good point to go for a little break then. How about that, guys?
Yeah, that about wraps it up for Group B. I think after the jump, we'll come back and Chuck will take the lead and we'll talk about Group C and D. So we'll see you in a little bit.
See you in a bit. Welcome back to Miles Offside Pod, where we're talking a little bit about the World Cup and a lot about nothing else. We are going to cover now Groups C and D for the World Cup. So we'll start off with C. Once again, it's a little bit of a one-horse race, don't you think, Oscar?
Actually, I could see anybody sneaking into the second spot in this one. Well, not Peru, but Denmark isn't really that strong. Obviously, France are going to be the heavy favorites here.
Well, yeah, of course. Like France are qualified, like no doubt, but no Peru. Like they just beat Scotland for God's sakes.
Oh, that mighty
Scotland
powerhouse
2-0. Yeah, that mighty powerhouse who aren't at the World Cup. Awkward. Oh, that's the one good thing, I guess. Actually, that I still do hold to heart, being from England, is that when Scotland aren't involved. But yeah, so France. Probably for me, like
34th Scotland in the FIFA World Rankings.
34th. So they just missed out on the top 32. Who's 32nd? Who in terms of rank? Romania. Jesus Christ, that is a fall from grace from a couple of years ago. Up at the heady heights of 7th for no fucking reason.
So France.
Maybe that. Yeah, France. One of the favourites. I'd say they're one of the favourites for the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they're going to make the final. It's either them or Brazil from that side of the bracket. For me, I think they have the best squad. They have to figure out how they're going to fit them all in there.
Because they've got a lot going on. Yeah,
Griezmann and Pogba don't really fit in the same lineup. One of them's going to have to play out of position. Mm-hmm. So, and obviously with their temperaments, neither of them's going to be happy about whichever one it ends up being.
No, definitely not. But didn't they were playing together at the last World Cup, weren't they?
Yeah, when they do that, they have to do a 4-4-1-1. But Pogba really thrives in a 4-3-3. Mm-hmm. So I think like the best version of France in the midfield for me would be obviously Kanté, Pogba, and Matuidi as the 4-3-3. So kind of giving Pogba that springboard to jump off with Kanté and Matuidi holding down the fort. Because he doesn't do enough to be in a midfield two with just Kanté. That's a lot of pressure on Kanté.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell also, it's the same kind of formation that works well for Pogba at United. Like, as uninspiring a team as that is, like, when he plays in a 4-3-3, he just looks a lot better.
Mm. But then Griezmann wants to be central. He came up playing out wide when he was younger. Mm-hmm. But it's been a long time, and he seems to really get angry when they make him play out there.
Yeah. I think if I had to pick between the two of like who would be in that team, it would be Griezmann.
Really? I'd go Pogba.
Yeah? You reckon he makes more of a difference to the team?
Absolutely. I think he's the best, not defensive central midfielder, that's Kanté, but I think he's the best just box-to-box central midfielder in the world right now. Yeah. And I think Griezmann's still really effective when you put him out wide, even if he throws a little fit about being out of position. The 4-3-3 for them with Griezmann out wide, Giroud in the middle, and is it Mbappe? Is that the other guy that plays on the right wing?
Yeah, first big tournament for him as well. Obviously, now that is he officially like the world's most expensive player?
I think it's Neymar.
Yeah,
I don't honestly know, but I haven't heard anything about it being someone other than Neymar.
No, but yeah, it's a lot of pressure on someone who. He plays for PSG, but PSG don't have much competition, so and when you're playing next to Neymar, it's very easy to look incredible. So we'll see on him, like how if any of the pressure gets to him. Although he could just absolutely shine and tear it up, and then get a £500 million transfer to the newly reinvigorated Chelsea team.
Absolutely, that'd be real nice.
When they sell that stadium brick by brick and go back to playing on a Sunday league pitch.
I'd rather he goes to Madrid and then opens up the door for Bale. To be honest, if we're being ridiculous with our fantasizing, yeah.
Go full ridiculous. But how about then the rest of that group? Because we got Australia, Peru, and Denmark. And
hang on one sec about France. I just wanted to get in there. Their two center backs, I think, is a really interesting pairing to watch. They have Rafael Varane and Samuel Umtiti. Umtittis?
The best name in football.
Yeah.
Titties. Every time.
But they're kind of the younger version of Ramos and Piqué, because they are the other guy's partners in Madrid and Barcelona. And I think that everyone's sleeping on that defense, but that center back pairing is going to be, they're very young, but they both have a lot of experience for how young they are, given the teams that they play with and the partners that they have.
Yeah,
and so they're kind of like, and they can both attack, they can score from a corner. They both have good passing ability from playing deep, kind of a David Luiz if he wasn't out of his mind. So I think that's secretly one of France's big weapons.
Yeah, I think
is their defense.
Do they still have the big discipline problems they had, or has that all gone away?
No,
now?
They still can't get along in the dressing room. That's going to be the thing for them. Yeah, especially with either Griezmann or Pogba throwing a fit about not playing what they want to play. But if they can keep it together in that locker room, I think they could be up there with Germany for the favorites for the whole tournament. I don't know what you guys think as far as that.
Yeah, I think exactly that. I mean, France have history of both sides of the coin. You look at 98. Yeah, fair enough. They had the home advantage, but they played pretty well at that tournament. Zidane obviously dominated in that. And then you go to the next World Cup. Then they didn't win a game at the group stages. So they were just knocked.
Yeah, they got knocked right out.
Yeah, they did quite well at the Euros in between, but then I think they lost to Denmark, Senegal. I think the first game they lost to Senegal the first game of the World Cup, and then we're out by the group stages.
This was 2002?
This was 2002, yeah. I mean, that was just a crazy one.
I barely remember that.
South Korea finished 4th. So, there were all sorts of...
And the US basically beat Germany, but had a ridiculous goal disallowed incorrectly to make... They would have made the semifinals, I think.
How did you feel about that, bearing in mind you support both teams?
Honestly, I think I was asleep for that match, because that was the time difference in Korea was tough. I don't remember much of that World Cup. I remember the final. We watched the final.
Yeah, I remember going to pubs at 8 o'clock in the morning before my A-levels. Good times.
That's a standard Saturday over here for the Premier League fans. As Chuck can attest to, we were drinking at 7:30 in the morning on the last day of the season.
Yeah, something like that. That was good fun, though. That was really good. It's so weird. You go all the way to New York, and then you're at a bar, and when it opens within half an hour, you've got about 50 football fans just all drinking in there. It's surreal.
And able to watch every match, basically, more matches than we get.
We were there. We were there for the last game of the season. So weren't there really weird channels that were showing football that day, Oscar? Or
absolutely.
Was it Sci-Fi or something?
Yep, because NBC owns the rights, and they own about 15 channels over here. So you have obviously NBC Sports and NBC, the proper one, but then all their secondary channels like Sci-Fi and Oxygen, I think, is one of them. Oxygen is just the network for housewives, and they just do redecorating shows all day long. So I can't imagine middle-aged house moms waking up that morning, putting on, oh, home and garden show, and then there's just English guys running around kicking a soccer ball. But yeah, we get every match over here. You can watch all 10 matches in a weekend, and even at the 10 a.m. is the big kickoff here on Saturday. They have a channel called I forgot the name, but it basically
is that Red Zone?
Yeah, exactly. It bounces off between all 10 matches. It's fantastic. You guys don't get very many matches at all, right, over there?
No, you still can't broadcast 3 o'clock kickoffs on TV here.
That's the big one. too. That's when there's like 5 matches at the same time.
Saturday 3:00. They want to protect lower league attendances, so they don't broadcast any matches.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Which makes sense because they really need to work on like all the grassroots football here and just like keep improving it so that we don't do these World Cup things and get so depressed about England being involved, you know.
But yeah, Premier League weekends, it does lead to this just long drawn out weekend of matches, just like early on Saturday.
Jesus Christ, fucking Sunday Monday night football. Like, what they should just get rid of it. Just Jesus
Well,
Christ,
for me too, I'm at work. It's in the middle of the day, so
oh yeah,
like
true.
It's a 2:45 kickoff. Champions League's a big pain in the ass too in the spring because you know these are obviously huge matches, but they're kicking off at 2:45, 3 p.m. You got to duck out.
Yeah, well, they're going to be doing because obviously, like, then the schedule always gets stretched out by like international breaks and stuff. But they're bringing in a winter break now for the Premier League as of not this coming season, the next one.
Apparently so.
I think like a 2-week break. So basically, like half the teams will play 1 week, and then
they're going to do like a split couple of weeks.
So you get like a 2-week rest and then play the week after, or you get a 1 week rest and play 2 weeks after.
And they're not allowed to go and do any big tournaments or any, commercial tournaments in the Far East or anything.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
You know, Man City and Chelsea will try to get an exhibition match.
Well, anything for Arsenal to get another trophy before, you know, for the Emirates Cup in the Emirates.
Remember when they lost their own
team
trophy?
Sponsored by Emirates? No. They won it because they made up rules to a competition.
Yeah. Don't disparage a classic trophy. Mate.
No, because you got a point for every goal scored. So I think they...
that is amazing.
What was it? They won 1 and lost 2 or something, but because in the one they won 4-0, they beat... Yeah,
they won the cup.
It was someone like Atletico Madrid or like someone really decent who had gone unbeaten for the competition.
Yeah, Arsenal have so little, I think we should just let them enjoy their fake trophies. Yeah. Palace should do something like that. At least they have some sort of silverware to celebrate, right?
Well, we tried. We went to what did we do? The Asia Trophy, I think, or something like that. It was like Palace, West Brom, Liverpool, and there's one other Premier League team, Leicester.
I actually Chelsea's played in that Asia tournament a couple of times, and I accidentally ordered a jersey with, instead of the Premier League patches on the arms, it has the Asia Cup trophy patches. And
amazing.
In the most perfect bit of fate, it's actually the Fernando Torres jersey that I bought. So it's like the Fernando Torres Asia Cup jersey from like 2011.
I bet they were at the factory that day going, this is a weird combination.
It's one of the best goals he ever scored for the team was at the Asia Cup. So.
Was that the only trophy Chelsea won that season?
No, that's actually the same jersey. That summer was the summer before 2012, so we won the Champions League and FA Cup that year.
So just a really weird to be focusing on such a trophy-laden season.
Yeah, exactly.
Be focusing.
I have the Didier Drogba Champions League jersey and the Fernando Torres Asia Cup jersey.
You keep hold of that Asia Cup. You definitely keep hold of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Asia, tenuous segue. Still need to finish the group that features Australia. Close enough. Australasia, Asia, Australia. Yeah, still working on these links, guys.
Wow.
Still working on them.
There we go.
So, Australia, Peru, Denmark. Shag, marry, kill. Right, let's do it. Peru are my dark horses. I'm going out on a limb here. Peru will be the Iceland of this World Cup. You heard it here first. But considering they're ranked, 10th in the world according to FIFA, it's not that much of a surprise.
And Denmark would be the one that I marry because Christian Eriksen is so reliable day in, day out.
And then to Jekyll and Hyde that, you've got Nicholas Bentner there. So, Lord Bentner.
He'd never let you down, would he?
How dare you? How dare you? That man is a treasure. You'd be so lucky as to have Nicholas Bentner on the England squad.
Jesus, you look at that England squad. I can't believe we're going to stop here and then have a whole other period of time to think about having to talk about England in the second part. You know what? I'm also getting kind of annoyed because I'm kind of getting excited. You get sucked in. It's the cycle. You always see the
this is
memes
how it
of
goes
it
for you guys.
of the England cycle of don't worry, we're never going to win anything with this crap. Then it goes to like these players are absolute shit. Then we go through qualifying and win every game and don't concede a goal. You think, oh, it could be quite good. Then we go through the group stages. Yeah, it's going to be great. England go out on penalties. Oh, it's shit. Sack the manager. Away we go again.
Yeah, I like to say that the only week that England fans are happy to be England fans is the week before a major tournament.
Yeah, pretty much. The problem is, you know what's going to happen. We'll beat Tunisia 1-0, and then the press will just go, oh, we've got a chance. And it's like, it's Tunisia, mate. Come on.
Yeah, well, like out of one of those, I think out of either Panama or Tunisia, like we'll draw one of those games. Like we will. It'll be something inexplicable. Like we'll beat Panama 1-0, draw with Tunisia 0-0, and then smash Belgium 4-1. Or something stupid like that, because then everyone all of a sudden be like, "Yeah, look how we played against a good team."
Let's save that for next week, boys.
Yeah, let's not give away too many spoilers.
Bringing it back to Denmark, the only thing exciting for me, other than watching Christian Eriksen be amazing, is Andreas Christensen, the young Chelsea defender.
Yes,
I'm curious to see how he's been really good this season. Very excited to see Conte versus Christensen in the France-Denmark match, because I think they're just gonna have to stick Conte on him the whole match. Because there's no one else really creating that much for them. And then just watch them battle it out in central midfield should be really fun.
Yeah, but the thing with Eriksen is it's just dead balls. I think in one of the Denmark qualifying games, he scored like 2 or 3 free kicks. Something like to send him out. I'm sure I saw something about that. This is great. I could just be making all of this stuff up. Just wait for the Twitter backlash. Don't
our 2 listeners will be like, these idiots. So you seem pretty high on Peru. Tell me more about that. Like, what do you like about them?
The name. I think Peru sounds really good to say. Peru. I don't know. Everything I've seen, like, you know, I'm not going to ever admit to being some sort of like football expert, especially around international football. You know, I very much switch off. As I've said to you guys tons of times, like we all play fantasy football and stuff, and international break is always just a bit of a bane of anything, because it's 2 weeks of just put this mismatch of players together and do whatever. So it just means you don't concentrate. But everything I see around Peru just seems like it's a group of people, like all the players are just so happy to be there, and just like it's the kind of underdog story, the kind of heartwarming whatever. And I think that especially with the Australia and Denmark in that group, like they have a chance to get through. Not only potentially get through the group, but maybe even get further.
The last match is Denmark-France on June 26th. So I could see France having gone through already.
Yeah.
And then that gives Denmark a real chance to take the points against France, which is going to be the thing that decides it, I think, for the other 3.
Yeah, that definitely could. You know, you could easily see it being, 1 or 2 points in it. And if Denmark then lose that last game, Peru fight against Australia, that could be a good game.
I think Australia are really scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them sneaking something. They remind me of the U.S. in that they don't have any big names, really. Maybe 1 or 2 guys. But they work together as a unit and they sneak out results in World Cups. That seems to be how we make the quarterfinals every time. It's just bunkering down and then scoring on a corner kick. And I can see Australia pulling something off like that.
Yeah, I think so. They've got good previous of like, doing well, or at least, scoring some amazing goals at a tournament. And I think it is that thing of if they do play as a team, crazy things can happen at a World Cup, because every game is all or nothing. Like you don't have time to make it back or think, oh right, well the first game we can take it easy. It's all or nothing. And as long as you don't play, as long as you don't have 2 teams, say, like we were saying earlier about Portugal, that almost just play to not lose as opposed to play to win, like it's always going to be an exciting match. I can feel it building now. I'm getting more excited even as I talk about it. Damn it! It's because especially now, like I think this is the first group we've spoken about where there's actually a bit of, seems like competition, really, that it could be a bit more interesting than go to the last game, as you just said, Oscar. If France-Denmark's game is the last game, like that could be very interesting. Like I'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, Absolutely, that's a good place to transition.
The next group looks good as well, competition-wise.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this group and maybe Group H are the only ones where out of all four teams you say they're pretty even, simply because. So to run through it: Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. Oh, we didn't do actually. So Group C. Are we all saying France
big time
top that group?
Yeah, definitely.
Who are you hanging your hats on for second?
Oh, you've convinced me. I'll go Peru.
I'll throw a shout on Australia. I like them.
Australia?
Yeah, I think they're real scrappy.
Why do you hate Paddington Bear?
Especially after all your lovely talk about Christian Eriksen, I thought you were going to maybe give Denmark
that's the easy answer.
They're used to the cold weather as well, you know.
Nah, I want to see what Australia does.
I don't know. Is it cold in Denmark?
I have no idea.
Yeah, why not?
Seems like the sort of thing that's true, doesn't it?
It is now. Yeah, it's canon.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 for Peru and 1 for Australia for second. France all day long for that group. But yeah, Group D, Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. That is the absolute group of anything could happen. Argentina, even though they have like a heavily stacked attack, where they didn't take who was it that got dropped out? I think like Mauro Icardi, who scored I think like 32 goals for Napoli this season or something stupid, like in the Italian league, and then you're still taking Aguero, Messi, and what's the player's name now?
Dybala.
Yeah, Dybala as well. Like such a stacked front team, but like you wonder about their defense. Then you've got Iceland in there, who are obviously probably a lot of people are gonna be quite keen on Iceland just because of the simple fact they knocked England out of the Euros. Croatia, who always have beautiful kits, and Nigeria, who have an amazing kit this year, which is crazy, and has sold I think it sold 3 million units already just in the UK.
Really? That's insane. I need to Google this now. I haven't seen the Nigeria kit.
Nigeria kit, Nigeria Croatia is the absolute battle of the kits, and it's the first game in that group.
I mean, there's no way I could buy a Nigeria kit because I'm the whitest man alive. I mean, to steal from Ricky Gervais, you can see my heart beating like a newborn fish. I mean, it's just there's no way I could wear that kit no matter how nice it is.
Especially considering you're up in Peterborough, saying you're the whitest man because there's not much sun up there.
Is Nigeria the kit that looks like a EKG? Or like a seismic readout?
Yes, it does.
That is hideous.
It looks like someone having a heart attack. People love it. Oh. People have gone absolutely crazy for it. I don't get why. And they've made blazer versions, suit versions of it.
I bet it's your people,
and
Chuck.
You see,
it's all the hipsters.
Yeah, because I am totally so hipster.
That is canon.
But no, in all seriousness, it will be tons of people wearing it ironically. Oh yeah, I went to Nigeria and built a house, and now they've made these great kits, and without realizing that they probably the buildings they built for the children, they're now well, no, not gonna say it. Actually, not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Wow, again, restraint.
So to bring it back to the soccer, do you guys think Argentina makes it out of the group, or is there an upset there?
I think Argentina make it out as second.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They have an ability to sabotage themselves.
Yeah,
they were horrible in qualifying. They barely made it. It took a Messi hat trick in the last day of qualifying to get through. Poor Messi has finished 3 or 4 finals in a row and losing in the final on major tournaments.
Oh, did it happen in the Copa? Right? Is it Copa America? No.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And this is probably his last chance at the World Cup.
Yeah.
But he already he retired from the Argentina team because he was so disappointed after the last few tournaments, and then he came back just to. I think he realized that he might as well take one more shot at the World Cup. But they're as a team, they are a mess.
Yeah, it's just so weird. It does seem to be one of those teams where it's just kind of just throw everything at it and see what sticks. Like I said before, it's such a top heavy team of just this crazy thing of how do you fit people into those positions, and just rather than trying to stick to a structure of, okay, this is our team, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to just sandwich everything in there so that we actually everyone still plays in the position they actually play in, and we can try and work to a game plan. They just try and shoehorn players in just to say, like, well, you got to have Messi in there because, of course, you have to have Lionel Messi in there. But then does that mean that you would have a Sergio Aguero in there? Does it mean...
Well, they can't even figure out how to get him in, really. At the last World Cup, he barely... Was he even healthy, or was it just like he didn't play?
No, he didn't play. Higuain. That's who I was thinking of earlier. That's who I was trying to think of earlier. I had Cavani in my head for some reason, but that's Uruguay, isn't it?
Yeah.
So... it makes more sense to have Higuain because he's a bit more of a target man than Aguero is, and obviously if you have Messi, I don't know whether they're gonna play like that weird Christmas tree formation where they have, they end up with like Messi and Dybala playing behind Higuain, just running left, right, centre everywhere, just to try and bamboozle defences.
Yeah, they have so much power in attack, but they have no. I mean, their best defender is Nicolas Otamendi, who fits in the Man City system, but he is not a good defender. He's fundamentally sound. He's terrible.
He's great with, he's great at playing the ball, and obviously like massive threat from set pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, you wouldn't classify him as sort of like a defensive general kind of stalwart. Like he's going to take every ball off every player. He's going to be there. He's going to be able to read the danger. That's why I think this could be interesting, especially with Croatia, who, aren't shy of a goal sometimes in like the big tournaments. Iceland, a complete unknown to a lot of these teams, and Nigeria, who have got a good attacking options, and if they go for it, like anything can happen in this group. I think it's going to be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you have Modric at Croatia, who's having one of his best seasons. And he's probably my favorite non-Chelsea player in the world. I love a central midfielder who can put a pass in, and he dominated that Champions League final. And if he can do anything along those lines for Croatia, I could easily see them taking the top of that group.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able really to disagree with that. It's a shame, like you mentioned the Champions League final. I was annoyed, like I had to work and I couldn't actually see it, and only watched brief highlights, and obviously the greatest goal in the history of Champions League finals and all that. Where do you land on that?
I agree with it. I mean, it's not like the most technically beautiful goal, as ridiculously beautiful as it was, but given the context, tied, Champions League final, late in the match, to pull that out, and it was a terrible cross too. The cross was low and fast and behind him, and he had to change direction to get to it.
Well, it was a Southampton Champions League final, wasn't it? You had 2 goals for Bale and 1 goal for Mane.
Oh yeah. It's
right there. Southampton technically got 3 goals in the Champions League final.
That's how that works, I'm pretty sure.
And also nearly got relegated. But yeah, I think that Group D, to bring us back to that, I think Croatia top of the group for me, and Argentina are second.
Yeah, you got to feel bad for Iceland there. You figure they're in, let's say they put them in Group C, right? We were just talking about Group C. They probably make it out of that group. But in Group D, it's going to be hard for them to get out. Same thing for Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at, to go back to the pain of it, like the last World Cup, when, we had the group of death and everyone was talking about, right, who goes through between Uruguay, Italy and England? And then it ended up being Costa Rica. Uruguay, I think, only went through on the last game. I think that England were down. Yeah, that was it, because England played Costa Rica the last game, and England were the only team to take points off Costa Rica because they drew, and Costa Rica beat Italy, they beat Uruguay, and then I think because Uruguay and Italy had beaten England, it was down to that game who went through.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. I mean, I remember the group being crazy, but...
I remember.
It's funny, we talked about how there could be anybody coming into this, and I think we all ended up at the same place. I think it's got to be Argentina, Croatia, right?
It's so weird.
But I feel like, don't sleep on Iceland. Just look at what they did in the Euros. Yep. They surprised everybody, and it's such a tiny country, but they really played as a team. And I think
Well, yeah, they had like 30% of or nearly 50% of the country's population was in the Euro. Where was the Euro? France were in Paris for that game. I think even the president of the country waived the opportunity to sit in the box for the quarterfinal where they were semi-final was against France, I think. Yeah, he waived the right to sit in one of the boxes and went and sat in the stands, like with all of the fans and stuff like that. And I just think that's great.
It's the clapping thing. It's terrifying.
The amount of babies that were born off of the back of that, apparently. Like, the country's population took, like, a massive spike 9 months after the Euros.
It was 4 births, was it?
Exactly.
5. Took a massive spike because everyone was so happy and it, like, enraptured the whole nation. And you got to think, like, that's powerful, that is. For 11 blokes.
The power of the World Cup.
11 blokes to single-handedly increase the population of the country by a noticeable amount. Like,
were all of them named Gylfi?
Yeah.
Too?
Gylfi, Sigurdsson, Magnusson, Forgsson, Borgsson.
Christensen.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for Iceland. Iceland would be good to see as well, actually.
Yeah. Poor Nigeria. We didn't even talk about them at all. They got some good players. But yeah.
Yeah, well, they played England the other day, and they rested quite a few players. Like, even Iheanacho, who before last season everyone was really, really hot on. I think he stayed on the bench the whole game.
Yeah, he can't get a minute anywhere, poor Iheanacho. He left City, then he went to Leicester. He still couldn't get into the lineup on Leicester, and now he's sitting on the bench for Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's very much a fall from grace. But is that was he one of those players that was made better because of the fact that he was playing at Man City?
Maybe.
And if everyone around you is absolutely incredible and can do all that work, and all your job is just be in the box at this point, like, don't think necessarily the person has to be that incredible as a player.
That is true. You just get on the end of some crosses, get on the end of some passing moves, and just stick it in the back of the net.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could score with David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne behind me, like, just pinging in everything, like, without me even knowing where it was coming from.
Chuck, you couldn't even score on FIFA if those guys were behind you. Come on now.
I am shit at FIFA. I did just win the World Cup with England, though. That's definitely...
There you go. My fever's just gone up a notch.
That I tried to get my fever to go up a notch.
So why don't we wrap it up by saying, from these 4 groups, who do you think has the best chance of making a final?
I think France... I think France as kind of the most exciting option. I think they'll do really well. But I think not only will they do well and go far, but they'll put on a show and it will be quite exciting. I think Spain will do a sort of industrious kind of manage to grind through quite a few games, and I think they'll get to the semis. I think both of those teams get to the semis for me. I think France can get to the final.
When it comes to Group A, if we're talking about chance of getting to the final, I'd go Russia, just because I don't think Uruguay are going to get there, and you never know with a host nation. You just never know.
Well, especially with the referees and the fix being in. Who knows?
Yeah. Politics number 7.
I think we're at like 14.
So yeah,
I don't know.
Don't worry about counting.
I mean, we all always agree with each other, it seems like, but I got to go with France also going to the final. I think they're so good. There's just such talent on there. At the same time, who knows? They could easily get knocked out at the group stage if they're a train wreck. But if I'm picking one of these 16 teams to make the final, I got to go with France. I don't see anyone from Group A doing anything of any note whatsoever. Spain, Portugal, who knows? Argentina, same thing. But yeah, I think it's France for me. Let's say you're putting money down on one match in these 4 groups being a big upset. What stands out to you? I'll start off if you need a minute to think. I could honestly see Iceland beating Argentina.
Wow.
Honestly, I think that obviously this is a massive upset, right? But if I'm going to pick one massive upset, Iceland being so organized and Argentina being such a mess as a team and having no sort of identity other than give the ball to Messi and hope he does things.
Yeah,
I could see Iceland.
But I think, because I want to go for something different, I think something weird could happen, like Morocco beat Portugal somehow, because Portugal still play for that like massively defensive, boring kind of game, and then Pepe gets sent off for kicking someone straight in the face because one guy says, insults his mother in a Zidane Materazzi kind of way. And then, Morocco get a penalty and then grind out a 1-0 win or something like that.
All right. I can see
Ian,
that.
Any upsets for you?
If I'm going to pick an upset, I'll go Peru-France. You've convinced me on the Peru thing.
Peru fever.
Like you see, we've seen France do some crazy stuff over the years. So
very true.
Who knows? We might see more discipline problems or whatever, and might happen.
Well, exactly.
But I'll go for a crazy upset, Peru-France.
I think it sounds like as soon as we sign off, Ian's going to be buying a Peru jersey.
Yeah, I could pull that off. Yeah. Are we officially back in Peru?
I guess they're the official team of the podcast. Excellent. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up for the week. Coming up next week on the pod, we'll go through groups E, F, G, and H, and then the World Cup itself will be starting. So
maybe we won't focus too much on Group G.
Just gloss over that.
I'll probably have full World Cup fever by that week. I'll have my face painted. I have my England shirt on. Vindaloo blasting out of my speakers. Oh god, I can feel it happening. But yeah, let's get out of here.
Football Ramble trademark World Cup fever. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's great to have done this for our inaugural podcast. Haven't really mentioned that it's our first one, have we? Just kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been lovely.
Finding our feet.
How long has it taken us to organise this?
Don't want to talk about it, Chuck.
Let's not talk about that. Okay. Well, want to thank Oscar for dialing in all the way from the US of A. Ian for finally managing to campaign enough in Peterborough to get broadband installed so that he could join us. And
we still believe electricity to be witchcraft.
And from myself down here in the sunny south of England, thank you very, very much for listening. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Follow us on Twitter at MilesOffsidePod and email us milesoffsidepod@gmail.com.